Pittsburgh Steelers offensive tackle Broderick Jones does not want any pity snaps. He either wants the coaches to start him or bench him. Pick one of the two. Don't do both. So, yesterday against the Denver Broncos, it was a tough day for Broderick Jones. He was benched in favor of Fautanu to start the game, but then in the second series, he was given the opportunity to play. But that didn't go so well because he had 3 penalties on one drive, completely stalling the drive, pushing them back, and he was later benched in the exact same drive. Didn't get to finish it because Fautanu took over because Mike Tomlin was sick of the penalties. But Broderick Jones, after the game, he talked about the right tackle rotation and he did not miss any words. But first, before I get into what he said, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now let's get right back into it. What did Broderick Jones say? Well, he basically said he does not want any pity snaps. Here's the quote. "Not really. If not starting, I really don't feel like I should be playing. It's really not a big factor for me." End quote. He was also asked about before the game started, did he know that he was even going to play or how much he would play? And he said this, "No, I didn't. I wasn't really too much worried about it. I'm just trying to come in and do the best I can for the team. At the end of the day, no matter what it is that they need me to do, I'm trying to do it. So they come up with a great game plan. I just try to stick to the script as best as possible and do what I do." End quote. So those kind of two statements kind of contradict each other and they don't really make sense together. But when you look at this, the main takeaway is that Jones doesn't think he should be rotating in with Fautanu. Either start him and play Broderick Jones the whole time, or start Fautanu and don't give him any pity snaps and play him one series here and there. Just play Fautanu the whole game if that's what it's gonna be. And that makes sense because when you look at it, this is the NFL, this isn't college, this isn't high school, this is NFL level. And there shouldn't be a rotation. It's either you play the guy you think has the best chance. Why are you playing 2 guys just to see who is better? That doesn't make sense. That's for the preseason, that's for training camp to figure that out. Obviously, the coaches are going to do what they want to do, but it just didn't really make sense doing that. Obviously, he went with Fautanu to start the game because he felt as though he gave you the best chance to win the game. So why in the second drive are you going with Broderick Jones? Did Fautanu not do good enough in the first drive? But then why did you go back to him? So it kind of doesn't make sense about the rotation there. Play one guy and stick to that guy. And Broderick Jones agrees. And when you make sense of it, the only team really that I could think of that does a rotation at a tackle position, and specifically the right tackle position, that actually does a good job and both guys do good in the rotation is the Browns, the Cleveland Browns. That's the only team that I've seen do a right tackle rotation, and it's not even every single drive on and off. It could be 2 drives, 3 drives, and then the other guy comes in, but with Darwin Jones, the big 6'8" tackle, and I forget who this other tackle is that they play. Sometimes it's James Hudson, but he starts now at left tackle. But they do like a rotation at right tackle. That's the only team I could think of that actually does it and it works. But the other teams that try it, other teams in the NFL level who've done it, it just never works out. That's more of a preseason thing, and Broderick Jones understands that it's just pity snaps at that point. Also, a big talk about Broderick Jones moving to the bench this week was, hey, he's still injured. He has an elbow injury. He's dealing with that, and now he could have time to heal on the bench while watching. Well, guess what? He did not appear on the injury report at all with no elbow injury, no injury at all, and we all know that in the NFL, even if it's a minor injury, you have to report it. So obviously he's fine. He's not dealing with anything in terms of something that will appear on the injury report and is not being benched because of an injury. Also, Broderick Jones, he's a left tackle. He's said it many times he prefers left tackle over right tackle. But you're going to throw Broderick Jones in there at right tackle midway through the game or halfway through the game, quarter, whatever. Throwing a guy in there just doesn't make sense. In the NFL, especially at the tackle position, you're facing the defensive line who have reps, who've been going at it all game, and you know their moves by now. That's why having a rotation really doesn't work, because having a tackle go against an edge rusher who's been doing it throughout the game. They know the moves of the player, so they're able to stall them, anchor them, hold them off better if you have more reps against them because you know their moves by then. But if you're just coming in for the first time and the other guy is already into the game, he has adrenaline going, obviously that guy with the adrenaline is in a stall or be able to push you back better than what a fresh guy who's not really into the game yet is going to do. So that's why you can maybe point to the Broderick Jones holding penalties because the other guy is already having the adrenaline going, trying to get to the quarterback, and is already fully into the game. And Broderick Jones is coming fresh off the sideline, just doing what his best could do, and kind of thinking in the back of his mind, hey, I need to do this really well, or I'm not going to play the rest of the game, or I'm not going to play in future weeks. And he could really be in his own head at that point. That's why it really doesn't work with the rotation in my eyes. I've said this many times, but Broderick Jones is a left tackle. He's not a right tackle. And in this year's draft, you went out and drafted a left tackle to move to right tackle as well. So obviously one of those guys are going to have to play left tackle. You don't draft two guys in back-to-round drafts in the first round at left tackle, switching their position for no reason. So either play them at their position or hold one of them off. Don't try to miss what you're doing and have it not work out like it has in the past with other players like Kevin Dotson, Kendrick Green, by moving their position. Either hold them off, have one of them not play, but just don't go throwing them around at different positions for no reason. That's how you ruin them as a player and a developmental prospect. So that's just my thoughts on this. But just looking at the game in total, Broderick Jones, he said he was not going to let those penalties and being benched affect the negative energy. He did not want to bring that negative energy towards the sideline. So he kept talking to his teammates, talking to the players, talking to the coaches, and try to bring that positive attitude even though he was benched. And that's the best thing you could do as a player. Yes, those words after saying basically, hey, don't play me if you're not going to start me, people could look at it as a bad way, but in reality, he's being so completely honest. I'd rather not play and you just give all the reps to Troy Fautanu. Just give him all the reps. If that's what you want to do, I'm fine with it. That's basically what he's saying. But just don't throw me in there in the middle of the game for no reason because that's just not going to work out. So he's just being completely honest, and I don't see no wrong in that. Anyway, enough with this topic. Let's just go over the game real quick. Because the Pittsburgh Steelers, obviously, they didn't score that many points, but their defense once again played amazing. You have to look at it in the perspective of, hey, every single time the Steelers score or do a big play, it seems like it just gets called back. It doesn't matter what it was. Last week was TJ Watt's, all of his sacks, all of his forced fumbles, everything like that being called back on penalties. And this week it was once again touchdown by George Pickens being called back by illegal pick. But then that official who comes in on the broadcast says, hey, I wouldn't call that a pick. So you have to look at it in both ways. That gets called back. You look at the down the field throw, the dot that Justin Fields threw to George Pickens, who mossed Patrick Surtain on the play. That was called back by the holding penalty on Broderick Jones. So you just have to look at all the big plays, and the stats just don't look good after everything is taken away. It should have been an extra touchdown for Justin Fields, probably over 250 yards passing for Justin Fields, but no, it ended up being like 117 yards, one touchdown. So, even though it wasn't a big game, at the end of the day, the Pittsburgh Steelers won. It's only week 2. The Steelers are still getting their footing, and they're winning football games, and at this point, that's all that matters. The defense looks amazing. The offensive play calling looks way better than last season. It still needs to improve by a lot, especially in certain areas of running the football too many times, having George Pickens off the field for too many plays and things like that. And just not utilizing Kelvin Austin or other people as much. Yes, that needs to improve, but just looking at this team in general, it's a really decent start to start the season, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are 2-0, and they're one of a few teams that are 2-0 to start the season. They're leading their division so far, obviously just early on, but just think, it could be worse. They could be the Ravens, or they could be the Bengals, who have started off 0-2, but they're not. So at this point in the season, even though they start off with a backup quarterback in Justin Fields, he was named the backup. Have to remember that. Russell Wilson was supposed to be the starter. So the Steelers are 2-0 with someone who is considered their backup quarterback. So the Steelers are winning football games, and that's a bright spot. But anyway, that's the end of this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on both topics, just kind of the game in general against the Broncos, how it went, and your thoughts on the game, who stood out, who didn't stood out, what do you want to see in future weeks. Also, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on Broderick Jones and him not wanting any pity snaps. Either start him, don't start him, but no rotation. That just doesn't work out. Do you believe there should be a rotation? There shouldn't, like Broderick Jones says. Let me know your thoughts. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis, and reports. In the coming days, I'm going to put up some highlights with analysis on the channel, so stay tuned for that, and any news coming out, I'm making sure I'll cover all that as well. This is the best spot for everything Pittsburgh Steelers updates. So, until next time, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.